All right, finally, we can use our normal approximation, our normal distribution, to approximate a binomial distribution. Okay, and that becomes, I guess, useful for us. So obviously with a binomial distribution, if every time you take one out of the population, the probability changes. Okay, but if our population is sufficiently big enough, we can ignore that. Okay, and the parameters, okay, well, typically, there's my highlighter. We don't want P too close to 0 or 1, and the product of NP, or N times 1 minus P, is greater than 5. So typically 30 is about the mark. If N is greater than 30, that normally means we can use our normal approximation, our normal to approximate my binomial. And you can see how, if we have sufficiently large trials, how each of these distributions, they become more and more like a normal distribution. Okay, so the same parameters, okay, but as long as we increase those number of trials, it becomes more and more normal-like. So, and we'll only ever use it if we're instructed to. So we were instructed to use the normal approximation here. Find between 270 and 330 people in the sample were in favour. Okay, so we've got 1,000 people. 30% of the people were in favour. So we've got 1,000, probability of success is 0.3. So for any normal distribution, you need a mean and a standard deviation. The mean mu is equal to NP, which is 300. The standard deviation is 1,000 times 0.3 by 0.7, square root of that, which is 14.49. So now in my normal distribution, the probability of getting between 270 and 330 is exactly that, 270 to 330, mean of 300, standard deviation of 14.49, I get a 0.9616. All right. Use the binomial and do the same thing and compare it. So let's compare it. So if I've got a binomial distribution, I've got 1,000 trials, 0.3 success. I want between 270 and 330 successes. It's 0.9648. So to 2 decimal places, it's the same. So you can see how good an approximation it is. Again, use the normal approximation, find the probability of less than 250 people in the sample were in favour. So I guess this is where, again, I've put down my normal CDF. I want between 0 and 250 people for a 314.49 distribution, which is 0.003. Now, you can see how in the notes, or the answers there, we've got between negative infinity and 250. And again, my standard deviation is 15. So 0, so what's that, 20? So 14.0 is about 20 standard deviations below the mean. Okay, so 0, negative infinity, equivalent. But again, it sort of makes more sense logically to have 0 people instead of negative people. All right? Okay.